get out there, you realize that, hey, there's people of all ages that still don't have it fucking figured out.
Well, we're all just trying to get through this thing and get our shit together at the end of the day, right?
But what I was going to say with the whole dry thing is that this guy was saying, because you use alcohol as a crutch socially, some people do.
Yeah.
Your social skills, they don't develop to the extent that they would if you had been sober.
Sure,
right?
I agree with that.
Well, it was something that I didn't think about, and then just hearing you talk about, all my problems came from drinking, right? And it's kind of like, well, if all your problems came from drinking,
why drink?
Then imagine all the problems that you can fix in yourself that come from just being sober.
Sure, right? And I think that's a big thing. I think you're really touching on. Sometimes I forget what an accomplishment it really is.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think back to, this has been, I'm trying to think, I think I started drinking when I was sort of 17 years old in high school. Maybe it was earlier, I don't even remember. But the thing was, you'd go find a school, a playground, and everyone would just you'd go fishing. This is what we call it going in the beer store. So you get an adult to buy you alcohol, you grab a 40 of Old English, you go sit in the woods.
My God.
Yeah, you go sit in the woods.
I remember Old English.
Yeah, guys and girls from high school get together, get drunk, and it was an excuse to hook up, It was which looking back on was so wrong, but, taking girls into the bushes,
because that sounds so good.
Yeah. But I'm sure kids are still doing that.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. I came from, hell yeah. I came from, a small tobacco ginseng farming town, and that's what everyone would do, high school, our grad party was a bush party.
Yeah.
I remember I had some girl ask to take a walk in the field with me.
Yeah? And what happened?
I turned it down.
Of course you did.
She wasn't my type.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
But so I guess so we've got the mental health that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
We were talking about the meditation and getting into that side of things.
That's really helped.
That's really helped.
I think that mindful meditation is something for example, a lot of people think that meditation is just kind of sitting on your bed and putting on the headphones and listening. There's guided meditation, which is more along the lines of relaxation. Mm-hmm. And then there's mindful meditation where you sit cross-legged, put your hands like this, you sit, but your eyes aren't closed. That's a misconception. People think that you close your eyes, but you have a soft gaze, you look at about 45-degree angle, you focus on your breathing, and any time that your mind wanders and you're not focusing on your breathing, you just bring it back to breath. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of constantly bringing you back to the present moment, right? Mm-hmm. And by doing that, you get these little things that relate to real life. So, for example, I'll have an itch that'll start happening on my eyebrow or wherever, right? Things. But you just sit there, and I the way that I used to relate to that, I said, okay, I'm not going to scratch that because that was the itch that I used to get on the weekends every time I wanted to go to the bar. If I can sit through this, I can beat that. So there's little things you can relate to, and you do it without even thinking about it. It's people think that there's meditation is some secret, but it's really just getting out of your mind and getting into your heart center and living your life. You don't even need to. You don't need to be told what's right and wrong anymore. You feel what's right and wrong. So you know that watching, for example, these whales in SeaWorld is fucking animal cruelty, right?
Right.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, so you start to feel these things, whereas our mind somehow told us that was entertainment for our kids.
Right.
So, I don't know if you followed that recently and the whole thing.
I have. I haven't like the whales, but
sure.
I've heard that they have a terrible time keeping whales in captivity in places like Marineland, actual large whales and sharks and stuff. They die very, very quickly.
There was I think it's Tulkum or I can't remember. There was a whale that was he's killed 2 humans, I believe, 2 trainers.
Wow.
Tillicum or something. Anyway, but I was really
something come.
But he died recently, and he was a whale that was taken from captivity. I don't know if he actually killed the first trainer. He may have injured one, and then they kind of covered it up. I think it was SeaWorld that bought him. And we're going totally off topic with this, but and then he ended up killing someone, and it's just one of those things where. An animal is an animal, right? At the end of the day, that whale is no different than you. It's no different than me. And it's just like watching these videos on YouTube. I saw one dog, those kids that cut that dog's ear off.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
This is that's fucking wrong.
Yeah, that's
you're not more important than anything on this planet. Yeah. I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. So, and things like that just start to surface. You don't need to think about it. I don't need to think about what's right and wrong anymore. I feel it.
Right, yeah, that it makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess that was, that's kind of interesting to me just because I feel like meditation is one of those things that could help a lot of people, especially when you're talking about mental health and anxiety and depression. But I also feel like it's one of those things that has kind of been, mainstream media has kind of touched it a bit, and so now if you go into your Spotify playlist, you'll get guided meditation. Nothing wrong with guided meditation.
Sure, I wouldn't bash it either.
That's your thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's kind of been this like a little bit of like new age stuff touching it, and then people get this idea that it's got to be this complicated thing that you do while sitting cross-legged and with incense burning.
Yeah.
And you don't like you just said.
No,
it's really simple. You don't have to spend money, and you can just it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, it kind of helps build you from the inside out. I find that meditation, eating healthy, and going to the gym, I mean, it's the mind-body-spirit connection, right? So as long as you take care of yourself in all those areas, then the rest of your life is going to be great. Just don't fuck with it,
So mind, body, spirit.
But this is the problem, is that we take these things that have been around for centuries, I mean, the samurai used to meditate. Unfortunately, they used it to focus on killing people.
Yeah.
But when you get to, why fuck with a good thing? It doesn't always have to be altered and made, we have this tendency to always fuck with things like they need to be somehow better. Yeah. That's not always the case.
Yeah. It's a weird human thing.
It is. Isn't it? Why do we always have to improve shit?
Yeah. Let's make the corn taste better.
But this is the same, this is the thing I was talking about when we went back to mental health, is saying technology is a main contributor to what's going to be, I feel, is an increase in mental health, mental illness in the younger generation. Because when you learn that to be fully happy is just to engage in every present moment, then when you're locked in your phone all the time, and I was just talking about this earlier today, but you're missing something that there could be a sign in the world just for you. For example, it could be a red cardinal just pulling up and whistling a little song. You're too busy in your fucking phone with someone that's across the world that you don't even know. Focused on their life rather than your own.
Yeah.
So I really do feel like, and I'm not saying that if you do that, there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying know when to put the phone away, and know when to just kind of be present with what you have and where you are. It's we all think we're living reality. We're not. This is real right here. You and I talking.
Right.
That's all there is. I mean, everyone watching, they don't really exist right now. I mean, this is the moment, but we just hope that they catch something from it, right? So,
but for all present purposes, it's you and me here.
Yeah.
Right. And,
unless everyone we appreciate everyone that's watching, but you're not standing in the room here. I can't really acknowledge you, and I don't probably know a lot of you. So
so it's almost like you have layered reality. That's another layer on
top
of that,
sure.
Right? So you think that's contributed a lot to the mental health problems?
I don't think we've seen it yet. I think we're going to see an increase in it. As technology like this increases, it's taking us away from reality right in front of us, and I don't think that's going to be a good thing long term. I think that as long as you know when to put the phone away, you'll be all right. But they've already shown that this whole selfie epidemic has caused mental illness and suicide because people have been trying to get the perfect selfie. I was reading an article where one guy took thousands of selfies a day and he just couldn't get the perfect picture.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're not fucking perfect. Yeah. You're not going to ever get a perfect picture. But he drove himself insane. So we're building narcissists, and we're building people that are just so self-involved that it's kind of like from a mentor that I've been talking to, they say you should be living 50% of your life for yourself and 50% of your life for others. So that means half the time you're constantly trying to give back. You're constantly trying to volunteer. You know that I volunteer at CMHA, and you know that I'm very much involved in volunteering with mental illness. So I don't know if it's 50% yet, but hopefully with this podcast, I mean, we're hopefully trying to contribute. And I'm not right about everything. I know that. I'm just trying to share what's worked for me. And
but once again, it's about that balance, right? It seems like that's a reoccurring theme in a lot of this.
Sure.
Mind, body, spirit, all that, balance.
Yeah.
So I mean, mental health aspect, which we've been talking about, and of course, you just mentioned you volunteer pretty regularly, I think, at the CHMA, right?
CMHA is Canadian Mental Health Association.
Okay.
So I just have been certified to be one of their support line workers.
Wow.
So yeah, so I can actually call if someone's, or I can answer the phone when people are sort of, in a dark place.
Right.
And it doesn't mean I'm trained for suicide prevention or anything, but I do have some training under my belt, and yeah, that's something that I'm really looking forward to doing. And then there's Parkwood Hospital. They have a mood and anxiety ward.
Okay.
And last summer I became certified as a personal trainer in order to help train clients to sort of help them get the endorphins flowing.
Right.
The problem with being a volunteer, not that it's a problem, I shouldn't say problem, but the thing about it is that you're going in there completely blind. I don't know if someone's talking to me, I don't know what their diagnosis is. I don't know if they're bipolar, I don't know if they're schizophrenic. I don't know if they're going to remember me the next time I'm here.
So that's actually why I wanted to bring this up, just because it is a very, it's a lot more than just, I'm a volunteer. It's you walk in there and you have no idea who you're talking to, what their diagnosis is.
No, it's hard.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Because you've obviously got to treat everyone with respect.
Sure.
Right? But at the same time, there's all this stuff going on around you. Like, how do you process all that?
First of all, the nurses that work in that kind of environment, I don't know how they do it. These men and women are the godsend of angels because it's so exhausting. Like I'm only in there for a couple hours and then I get to leave. They're in there for 8-hour days, and so it's exhausting because someone could be talking at you constantly, right?
And you find you're drained when you leave there.
Yeah, but I mean, I found that the best way to relate to people when I don't know what they're dealing with is through exercise. Exercise always makes everyone feel good. So if I can help them and set them up with just a simple gym regimen, we're okay. And then you can start to see smiling going on. The endorphins kick in a little bit, right? So
But there you go, folks. Mind, body, spirit. That's the body portion coming in. You exercise your body, you get those endorphins, and those feel good. That feel good
chemicals. Yeah.
So you volunteer there. And
that helps. Anytime. So for anyone that's struggling with mental illness, even if you're not 100%, I do recommend getting out there and just going to volunteer to help someone less fortunate, because you will. I mean, at the end of the day, you'll always see that someone has it worse than you do. I mean, I know sometimes it feels like the world's ending and your world's collapsing, but once you get yourself out there and you start to see that there are people out there that really have it bad, you kind of start to count your blessings a little more, and you feel better just by doing that.
Yeah. Well, I feel too that like a lot of the I feel like a lot of people who have anxiety or depression that don't exactly talk about it. It's one of those. It's almost like there's some principle in psychology. I took some course in university. I forget what it's called. But as a teenager, when you go through problems in your life, you have a tendency to dramatize them to the point where it's like, I'm the only one who has this problem.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, you feel like you're the only one in the world. Yeah. And that's what this is for too, is to help people so they don't feel alone. Right.
You go out there and you volunteer and you see that there's people who have it way worse than you do, and they're still fighting a good fight, right?
Sure.
It gives you not only hope, but you see that you're not the only one out there who's dealing with this stuff.
There are people that show up there with nothing. They just they have the same pair of clothes, they have the same outfits, and you really start to realize, no matter where you are in life, as long as you have a roof over your head and food on the table, you're rich. You really are. And as much as we always want more and bigger and better, just don't be afraid to stop and be thankful for everything that you have, because there's a lot of people that would die to trade places with you. So, and are dying. So
you volunteer there. We've been talking about the Zen stuff, the mental health stuff. How does that tie into the sex coaching aspect of things? Does it?
The mental health?
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm out there and I'm talking to students at colleges and universities, the way that I tie into it, because let's face it, they're there to see a show, they want some entertainment. I'm not really there to lecture them on making sure that their mind is healthy.
Right.
But your largest, most powerful sexual organ is your brain. So that's kind of something where it's like, oh, really? And then you say, yeah. So if you guys don't keep this healthy, this area down here, that little hot zone that you guys love to explore, well, that's going to maybe malfunction.
2 inches.
So Yeah, so I mean, I guess there's certain ways that it can tie in, but if you're not mentally well, you're probably not having a very healthy sex life either. Right. But the reverse can happen. I mean, I know that when I'm depressed, I